In the world of pro wrestling and storytelling in general, there are two things you need for characters: a good guy and a bad guy. And the world of WWE and pro wrestling in general is no stranger to the heel or face characters. It's something that is essential for storytelling and creates some of the most iconic stars that we have seen. So in this video, I went through the main roster for WWE. I picked two superstars from the men's roster, two superstars from the women's roster, and I have two honorable mentions. The first superstar that we're going to be talking about is Braun Breaker. Now, I will say that this is something that we got teased very recently when it looked like that Braun Breaker was going to turn face when he cut that promo with Jey Uso. Obviously, that is not the case. He is back to being a heel, but I do think that a face turn for Braun Breaker is something that's going to be coming rather soon. He already has the makings for a really solid babyface. We've seen him as a babyface with NXT 2.0. However, a lot of people like to forget NXT 2.0, and I don't blame you very much for that. But Braun Breaker already has a really strong crowd connection, even though he is already a heel. Fans love to bark like a dog with him because that's what he is. That's his gimmick, is he wants his dogs barking. And the fans have noticed that and have really gotten on board with that whole thing. And it really kind of started with Pat McAfee in a way. So I think that this is something that has been building for quite some time. And especially once Braun officially made the jump to the main roster, I think we all kind of thought that it was going to be a matter of time until he does turn into a babyface. I will say, I don't think this happens until his IC title reign is over. I just have a hard time seeing WWE turning him back into a babyface mid-IC title run. I think when this current IC title reign comes to an end, I think we could see a face turn from Braun Breaker. But again, the work he's doing right now as a heel is really, really good. And even though he is a heel, he still has people who want to see him win just because he's that damn good at what he does. So again, this is something that I don't think happens until he loses that IC title, but I do think that Braun Breaker is going to be a babyface sooner rather than later, because let's not kid ourselves. He is going to be one of the faces in this new era of WWE, and he's going to be one of the top stars in WWE and going after the Universal Championships, and possibly the World Heavyweight Championship is next for him. Up next, I've got Austin Theory. Now, this is something that WWE has been teasing for quite some time now, but as of late, we've kind of gone away from that whole storyline, it feels like. You tack on the fact that we really haven't seen A-Town Down Under in a match recently, given just how stacked the SmackDown Tag Team division is. So, in order for Austin Theory to officially make that turn into a babyface, we're gonna have to see that story kind of come back into the fold. I think it's only a matter of time before Theory does inevitably become a face, and he starts a potential feud with Grayson Waller, which I think would be really, really solid for a first feud. I do also think that Austin Theory could be a potential match for John Cena on Cena's retirement tour. I think Theory may want some revenge for John Cena just obliterating him on the mic. So that's something that I could totally see being on the table, but that would only work if Theory is still a heel. So I do think that that is on the table, but I still do think that at the end of the day, we're going to get a babyface Austin Theory. And I'm very curious to see, because we've never seen Austin Theory as a babyface on the main roster before. Obviously, he had a very solid face run with NXT, but we've not seen it on the main roster. He obviously came up from NXT and was given the gimmick of being the next one by Vince McMahon. And then he got the Money in the Bank briefcase, and things just kind of kept going downhill from there, because he just really was one of the worst Money in the Bank carriers that we've seen in a long time. And I think a lot of people took that against him and made him into a bigger heel in a way. So again, above anything else, I'm more curious to see what a Theory face turn would look like on the main roster, and given some of the potential feuds that we could get, I think is really, really appetizing to the WWE fans, and providing they do it right and give the fans a satisfying face turn, I think it could work. And I think, again, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Again, they need to start building that story back up because it's kind of gone away recently. And I still do think that he could potentially be on the table for Cena's retirement tour, and he would have to be the heel in that story. Shifting over to the women's roster, and I have Tiffany Stratton. I think Tiffany Stratton, in the short time that she has been a pro wrestler, has become a future face for the women's division as a whole. Given the fact that she really hasn't been doing this for very long in the grand scheme of things, she is an incredible talent that WWE has found. She already has a really good crowd connection built. She has some of the loudest pops of the night, and this is something that I have talked about with her winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, is we're getting the storyline between her and Nia Jax, which has been really, really good up to this point. And I think when Tiffany inevitably cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase, she's gonna make that turn into the babyface. I really wholeheartedly believe that, and I think it's going to be on Nia Jax, and I think that's going to be their first feud. And it's a very good feud for Tiffany Stratton to have with Nia Jax. Obviously, besides them being really good friends outside the ring, which inevitably just improves chemistry in the ring, you have Nia Jax, who a lot of people just like to hate because of her past with WWE and her being an unsafe performer. Since she's made her return, I think she's gotten a little bit more respect, but she is still the big bad women's heel for that division. And again, I see Tiffany Stratton as the future face of the women's division entirely. Given the fact that she is still extremely young to be on the main roster in the first place, not only has she deserved this opportunity, but she has earned it in every way possible. So again, I think Tiffany Stratton makes sense here, and again, I think it's something that's going to happen sooner rather than later. And I think it's all going to come when she inevitably cashes in her Money in the Bank contract, and I think it's going to be on Nia Jax, and I think that's going to be her first feud as a babyface. Moving on to a tag team that I have that I would personally like to see have a face turn, and that is the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Similar to Tiffany Stratton, they are very young and still have a ton of potential. We've seen them with the tag titles before, and we've seen them do very well with those tag titles. We've also seen them have a good connection with the crowd already, and the crowd was really starting to get behind them when they were having their matches with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, and so on and so forth. And since then, we really haven't seen a ton of them recently. And I think it's a really missed opportunity because they're really, really good in the ring. And it's frustrating to see them not being used. And it feels like whenever they are in a match, people come away with saying just how good they are, and that's inevitably going to push the fans on their side, which I think most already are. So again, I think this is more of me wanting to see them be a face because while yes, they do technically work as heels, I think the more and more they progress, the better baby faces they would be. Now that's something that I could be totally wrong with, but inevitably we're gonna have to have another face team because we're already getting teased about Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill splitting, so that's going to create an opening for a face women's tag team. Now, while I don't necessarily see them as the faces of the women's tag division, I do think that they are going to be key factors as we progress in this new era of WWE. So again, this one may be a little bit off and may not be who you picked, but those are two superstars that I would personally love to see get a really strong babyface run. On to the honorable mentions where I have Carmelo Hayes and Ludwig Kaiser. Since Carmelo Hayes has made the jump to the main roster, he has been nothing but a heel, and he's been a really damn good heel. But I think what we've been seeing between him and LA Knight and Andrade is that LA Knight kind of is coming out of that looking like the heel a little bit, given that he ruined Game 7, and I know they had an amazing match at Crown Jewel, but still, how young he is and still new to the main roster, similar to Braun Breaker, I could see him as one of the faces of the WWE moving forward in this new era. Again, incredibly good in the ring, incredibly good on the mic, and I think, given the time, can build up a good crowd connection similar to what Braun Breaker already has. The other one, as I mentioned, is Ludwig Kaiser. And I went with Ludwig because I think that with Gunther, Gunther is too good of a heel to turn into a babyface. We kind of got a weird Gunther promo where he really sounded like a babyface in it, but Gunther is like the perfect heel, and I think that he's gonna have a feud with John Cena on Cena's retirement tour because that's just how good he is as a heel. And I think Ludwig, yes, he's a good heel, but I think he would be a really good babyface as well. He's good on the mic, he's good in ring, he's also got a surprisingly good crowd connection already. And this is something that was kind of teased a little bit, not so much on WWE TV, but amongst the wrestling fans online. People really wanted to see Ludwig Kaiser turn on Gunther for a while, and I still think that that could happen, and I don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibility. While he may not be on the same level of Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes, I still think that he could be a good asset moving forward for the WWE, and I think a face turn would do him good and kind of getting him out of Gunther's shadow a little bit. And I think Ludwig could work as a babyface providing they don't give him the Giovanni Vinci treatment. So this is where I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think is due for a face turn right now? And also let me know what you think of my picks. Do you think Braun Breaker and Austin Theory would make good faces? Also, the same goes for Tiffany Stratton and the Unholy Union. I'm genuinely curious to see what you guys think about this one, so let me know all that stuff down below in the comments, and while you're down there, swing by the description. The link down in the description is to our Linktree link. The Linktree link will take you to all of the social media platforms for this channel, and I highly suggest going and checking out our X page. Over on X, we do updates for Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and most of the PLEs. I know that the PLE updates have been kind of slacking recently, and unfortunately, I am going to miss the War Games PLE, so I do apologize, but this is the time of the year where mainly Friday and Saturday nights just are really busy for me, so the updates for SmackDown and the PLEs may be a little hard to come by, but we are still going to do them for Raw, and I want you to join in on the conversation, and maybe it is for you at the end of the day. So with all that being said and all that out of the way, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. It'll really help out the channel a lot. And as always, stay tuned for more content coming in the future. The next video on the channel, we're going to do the same type of video, but instead we're going to do which current heel would make a good babyface. So stay tuned for that coming in the future. We'll see you next time.